I am Francesca Barbini, the owner of Luna Press Publishing, and I would like to welcome you to a journey through the years, which is this lovely little thing I do at the end of every year, in which I basically remember all the lovely books that we have published. So of course, I'm now here for the releases 2021, and this has been a very special year for us. For those of you that don't know, this is the year that Luna Press has won the British Fantasy Award for Best Independent Press. So I am, of course, still grinning. The award happened in September at FantasyCon in Birmingham, and we took home the award. There we go. So it's transparent, but yeah, I can actually see myself in there. There we go. This is quite spooky. But yes, it's an award within an award. That's us. That's us. So there you go. This is one for the whole family. We started the year with Accademia Lunare, and Pooja Mittal Biswas produced for us a research project titled Gender in Time and Time in Gender, the deconstruction of gender in time travel fiction. So this is a research project, and we published this at the beginning of the year, and we also did the book launch. So if you check our channel, you can find the live interview with Pooja, in which she talks not just about this book, but also about different issues pertaining to this, how the research came about, etc., and writing queer theory, and also gender literature. Okay, so a lot of very interesting topics that came out, not just through this, but through her second book as well. But for that, you'll have to wait until the end of the spring. So this was our first release, Gender in Time, Time in Gender. And then came the Luna Novella series. So Luna Novella is the new novella series that was launched this year for Luna Press. And we started with 6. So we did the submission for these ones, of course, in 2020. And the first 6 Luna novellas were launched in February. So we had number 1 was Scottish writer Joanna Correns, John's Eyes. So this was science fiction. Then we had John Dodd, Just Add Water. Again, this was science fiction as well. Andrew Wallace, Dread and the Broken Witch, in which we moved over to fantasy. The Future God of Love from Dilmandila from Uganda. Skin for Skin, dark fantasy by British author Terry Grimwood. And last but not least, Clockwork Sister by Emmy Rodman from Scotland. So these were our first 6 Luna Novella titles. And there was a recorded book launch as well on the channel, so you can watch the video and find out more about each of the stories from the authors themselves. And as always, there are all the timestamps, so you can go to where you want to be, okay? So this was Luna Novella, and we were so excited with how the series went that we did further open submissions for it. And of course, we now have 6 new coming out next year. After that, we went back to our young adult fantasy fiction, this time by Elizabeth Priest. Now, Elizabeth has been writing for us the Trout's Pond series, following a group of teenagers from high school all the way to university. And I suppose you could say magic, fantasy, fairies, dragons. So there is a little bit of everything in here. And this is, in fact, book 5 of the series. The first book, Concrete Fairy, was a great success, and Lizzie has been enjoying continuing the series for us, and we've loved them so much. She's really funny, really witty, and we are looking forward now to release book number 6. Okay, so here is The Empty Orchestra by Elizabeth Priest. After that, we went back to our other series, the Harvester series. And this time, that saw the release of Brazilian author Fabio Fernandes' Love and Archaeology. Now, the Harvester series is a collection of short stories by a single author, which have stories which have appeared in magazines, best of, that have won awards. Plus, there is always a bonus section where each author can decide to have everything they like, including a story of each of the stories, non-fiction pieces, and obviously Fabio has its own as well. And of course, there will always be original stories as well. So Love and Archaeology was in fact book number 8 of our series, and it went to join a family with Paul Kane, Marie O'Regan, Stephen Bacon, Tim Major, Wole Talabi, Ian Waits, Nick Wood, and now of course Fabio Fernandes. So this is Brazilian short stories, not just science fiction. There is also speculative, weird, and fantasy, even horror. So Fabio is a very versatile author, so you'll find a little bit of everything in there. The next book was quite a project. Novella's Stories from Future Greece, edited by myself and Francesco Verso. I am really proud of this project, and it was actually a project that it is not as easy as saying, oh yeah, let's do an anthology. This was a massive collaboration with a group of fabulous writers from Greece and the translators that helped us obviously bring this into English. But it wasn't just that. This book existed in Greek, and then it came to Luna Press for the English edition, to Future Fiction, which is Francesco Verso printing press in Rome. And so the book was then translated into Italian. And at the same time, we sold the rights to Japan. And so this book will be released in 2022 in Japanese as well. It is an incredible collaboration born from the fact that, you know, we absolutely love to bring fiction from authors who are international, just, you know, where, of course, we're still using English as a bridge, but a show that it isn't just a science fiction or fantasy don't simply exist in an Anglophone world. They exist in every culture. And I suppose as an Italian living abroad as well, I find it fascinating to be able to bring different voices and different you know, backgrounds to stories. And so this book, like I said, it felt really personal to an extent, and to have it published in 4 different languages, yeah, totally proud of that. So this is Novella's Stories from Future Greece, with the cover art made by Chiara Topo, an Italian artist. The next 2 books are part of Luna Press collaboration with charities, in particular, in this case, the Tolkien Society. Luna Press has been publishing the Tolkien Society proceedings from conferences and seminars as a charity collaboration. And this year, we released 2 seminar proceedings from the Peter Rowe series. The first one is Adapting Tolkien, which was a seminar that happened last year and is Peter Rowe number 20 of the series. This was edited by Will Sherwood. Then we released Peter Rowe from 1996. At the time, the Peter Rows weren't in digital form, weren't available, if you like. It was a print run at the time. So as part of my collaboration with the Tolkien Society, we are bringing out all the old Peter Rowe as well. So this was came to be, and was originally edited by Richard Crawshaw, but with the new edition, we had to do some extra work. And so, of course, I'm thankful to Shaun, the chair of the Tolkien Society, who helped us with the editing of the edition that came out with Luna Press, Tolkien and the Sea. So you can find them again in our shop under the non-fiction section. And then came the time of the second release by Pooja Mittal Biswas. Now, this was a fabulously interesting book, again, for someone that is part of a diaspora to an extent, but is part of someone who lives abroad, not in the culture where you're born. This one is called A Diasporic Mythography, Myth, Legend, and Memory in the Literature of the Indian Diaspora. Now, Pooja has an incredible varied background. She was born in Nigeria, but from Indian parents. She now lives in Australia, but she's also lived in other places. So as part of this experience exploring the writing of the India diaspora, in particular myth and the legend, etc., there is a really interesting introduction she makes as well. And we had a beautiful chat about it on one of our videos, again, because we did the video book launch for this, so you can find that as well. And again, remember, there is a timestamp, so you can go to the topic of every book launch that you're interested in. And with this one, we were discussing actually with Pooja how, you know, in a sense, if you are a writer writing in your own culture, in your own country, that culture informs that, right? But if you are a writer that moves abroad and spend part of their lives in a different culture, you're then transforming as a person and of course as a writer. And so you go in to create a very, like a new state essentially, you know, where, and also it's about borders, you know, how do you consider yourself part of the new culture, or are you still belonging to the first? Are you both? And if you're both, have you created something different, a third state where in fact you're not one or two, you are this merger of these two cultures. And I find that fascinating because when I think about even myself, not just as a writer, but as an editor and as a person, you know, you spend half of your life in Italy, half of your life in Scotland, and never mind all the traveling you do outside of these two places. And then you find yourself being this kind of weird hybrid between this Italo-Scottish connection, not one nor the other, but a brand new version of both, you know. So that's I find that fascinating. And to read the literature that comes from different cultural background, it's very exciting. It's new, it's fresh, and it's very, very interesting. Certainly not what you might expect. Okay, so this was a Diasporic Mythography by P.M. Biswas, Pooja Mittal Biswas. And then came the summer, and with that, Chimera, the beautiful festival of fantasy and science fiction in Edinburgh, directed by our very own Anne Landman. Anne has created a fabulous festival, a fabulous opportunity for all the writers of fantasy and science fiction, and is a festival that is growing every year, and we are so lucky to have it in Edinburgh, alongside the Edinburgh Book Festival, of course. And I was delighted to be able to publish an Edinburgh author, Jane Alexander. And Jane created a collection for us, but part of the Luna Press Accademia Lunare. We have a collection of short stories, science fiction, speculative, very much centered around technology and how it affects us. And then the second half was dedicated to an essay, Writing the Contemporary Uncanny. Jane has written other things as well before she came to the Luna family. Her previous novel was a user's guide to make believe. So you can also discover more of her fiction, longer form over here. And her beautiful short form for us, The Flicker Against the Light. Then we had another Scottish author, someone who has been in the family for a long time, Barbara Stevenson. Barbara writes from Orkney, and she has a wicked sense of humor. Our Barbara has been doing a collection of short stories. Last year we published Where the Oceans Meet the Sky, and she came through to the Luna family with the short story competition we used to run in the first 2 years of Luna's existence, Beyond Realities, Volume 1 and Volume 2. This is a first long form, Dalliances of Monsieur, and you can see here the cover art by Bede Rogerson. Now, the story follows this very interesting character. Is set in France, in a world that is, I suppose, a bit of an alternate reality, where there is an entire underground life going on, a perfect replica of Paris underground, where the people are ready to come up and to take over. So the time is ready for a revolution. Monsieur Darico, of course, is involved as part of the counter-espionage, and he's going to find himself in very many adventures or disadventure, if you would like, with my favorite character over here, Marina the crab, attached to his heart, right here. So it's a bit of a steampunk-ish in tone, but very funny, very humorous adventure. This book, the rights to it in Italian of this book have been sold to Astro Edizioni, and so the book is also available in Italian. At the end of July, we released our annual call for papers, and this year was Worlds Apart, World Building in Fantasy and Science Fiction. There we go, edited by myself as every year. And in particular, as you know, our call for papers are all themed. So we started with gender identity and sexuality in fantasy and science fiction, which won the British Fantasy Award for Best Non-Fiction, followed by the evolution of African fantasy and science fiction, A Shadow Within, Evil in fantasy and science fiction. Last year, we had Ties That Bind, Love in fantasy and science fiction. And this year, we landed with Worlds Apart. Now, every single one of this book have been longlisted and shortlisted for awards. And I am incredibly proud of that because the authors inside, the contributor of each paper, are fabulous. And one of the strengths of this book is that it brings together researchers from all walks of life. So there is a lot of dialogue between, if you like, academia and the fan or the researcher. Yeah, so not everyone has a PhD, for example, in a particular field. And that's what I love about it, and it makes it, I think, perhaps more diverse, but it also allows for that dialogue to continue. And I think that dialogue is essential in any field of research. So I will continue to push for this lovely call for papers every year. And so here it is, Worlds Apart. The summer saw the release of a debut novel. And the debut novel came from Lorraine Wilson. This is Our Undoing. Now, Lorraine lives in Scotland, and the beautiful cover art, The Fox, came from Daniele Serra. Daniele is a fellow Italian, and he has done covers for us in the past. He has worked on our Harvester book by Tim Major and the House Lights Dim. He also worked for another Harvester book by Marie O'Regan, the collection called The Last Ghost and Other Stories. So this was Daniele's cover art for Lorraine debut, which is a beautiful story following a biologist, a conservation biologist, Lina, who lives in the Rila mountain of Bulgaria. It is an incredible adventure, but it's also, it's a speculative political adventure set in changing times. So it feels very actual, very current, but at the same time, of course, is in a speculative near future Europe. There is a lot to it. There are some elements of dark fantasy, I suppose, if you like, as well, but I'm not gonna say too much. However, this is a book that has received an incredible acclaim so far, and I would really say, yes, absolutely get your hands on that. It's available in hardback, paperback, and of course, the digital format of your choice. So I am looking forward to see more from Lorraine. She writes beautifully, so you will certainly be transported on an incredible journey. This is Our Undoing by Lorraine Wilson. The year 2021 was closed by the release of the last Harvester book, for this year at least, and I'm talking about Look Where You're Going, Not Where You Have Been by Stephen J. Dines. So, because it's part of the Harvester series, you will find a collection of short stories which have been published in big magazines such as Interzone and many best of, etc. Plus, of course, there will be new material as well as a bonus section, which is so rich that it really is going to make you want to immediately reread the story again. And actually, Stephen has been incredibly open about a lot of this, because there is a lot of personal, if you like, in this, from the point of view of a father in these stories. And I think that's what makes them also so different and so interesting, because you don't always get to, you know, explore certain aspects. So I would certainly recommend that you find out more about this collection. The beautiful, beautiful cover art, which again, when you read the stories, you will understand a lot about it. It's by English artist Tara Bush. Tara's work has appeared before on Interzone Black Static as well. And she has done the cover for Steven book, and we absolutely loved it. She is fabulous when it comes to capturing expression and facial expression. And we actually have a brand new cover coming from her for a novel, coming out in 2022. And I'm really excited to do the cover reveal for that as well. This was absolutely beautiful. And so it closed our year, but it also was launched at FantasyCon, which of course was where the award came in. And so I'm just gonna show it to you once again, because, you know, I'm still grinning. So there you go. Here it is, our beautiful pile of books from 2021, the Luna babies. That is what makes us #Luna Proud Parents. And I hope you had a chance to explore some of these titles. They're all in our stores. There are links in the description as well. And I am so excited also to introduce you to the new one coming out in 2022. But for the moment, it's goodbye from me, from the award. Let me show you one more time. And from our marvelous, marvelous pile of books, 2021. Keep on reading. Bye.